Our fossils come from rock layers called the Waipara Greensand. The layers span a period from 62 to about 58 million years, and we can age the fossils we collect from the greensand depending on where in the section they are from. The seabed where these fossils became deposited and subsequently surrounded by sediment was in a shallow marine environment on the intercontinental shelf. The coastline at this time would have been at perhaps the level of the Alpine Fold today, and land would have extended towards the equivalent of the west coast today, bearing in mind that New Zealand looked very different than 60 million years ago. Between this period, so 62 and 58 million years, the sea around the Waipara area would have been warmer than the sea temperature of North Canterbury today, possibly in the low 20s. And the animals that we've found so far include vertebrates like sharks, fish, sea turtles, and several species of penguin and seabirds, and invertebrates like brachiopods and Waipara conus, which was an extinct relative of corals. Lee Love goes out regularly to the fossil sites to look for fossils. Because of erosion, fossils that were not there can suddenly become exposed. Once Lee removes a fossil after recording exactly where in the section he extracted it from, we send it to Al Mannering for preparation. And what he does is he removes the rock that surrounds the bones, as more often than not, a lot of detail will not be visible at that stage. At some point, either before or during the mechanical preparation of the fossils, we use a medical CT scanner to image the rocks and decide how we proceed. So whether it is worth starting or continuing with the preparation, but also to obtain a digital image of the fossil bones inside the rock, which we can then move around, have a look at a side that is not exposed, for example, or 3D print the single elements without breaking apart the fossil concretion. It is extraordinary that we are able to recreate a faunal assemblage that existed just a few million years after the dinosaurs, marine reptiles, and many other creatures became extinct. For birds, for example, the period following this extinction event, 66 million years ago, is not a time in Earth's history that is well documented in terms of bird fossils. So there are many unanswered questions regarding the early evolution of modern birds. The extinction event triggered changes in marine ecosystems that resulted in the radiation of modern birds or seabirds that we know today. And the Waipara Greensand is one of the few sites worldwide where this early diversity, at least for sea-dwelling birds, is becoming well documented. So far, we have evidence of at least 7 species of penguin, from very little ones to gigantic ones, and we know that penguins became very large early in their evolutionary history, shortly after they became flightless divers. Other seabirds, although far less common than penguins, are also now known from Waipara, and they represent the oldest records for some groups, like that of the bony-toothed bird or the tropic bird. And this suggests that the southern hemisphere, and particularly the area around New Zealand, played a major role in the early evolutionary history of these birds.